Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Nexi Forecast. Today, I'm excited to welcome Don Ford, a true expert in property management, especially in the multifamily housing space, with an impressive 45 years of experience fully on this space. So, Don, thank you very much for joining me today.
It's my pleasure. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. So, Don, can you start just share your background on how you got started in this business in the first place?
Sure. I'm one of the very few people you probably will tell you that I intentionally got into the field of property management. Most people fall into it. And it's an industry you either love or hate. And so I've stayed in it 45 years. My first job right out of college was as an on-site manager in Oklahoma City, where I started on 140 units, very close to the Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma City. So I had a lot of military
Nice.
residents to provide for.
Okay.
And then through the years, I've just stayed through, done homeowners associations, commercial management, retail, managed outlet malls, this type of thing. So I've been entrenched in property operations for 45 years.
Perfect. And what kept you passionate about the multifamily part all these years?
Well, of course, I enjoy helping people in a very basic way. Housing is, a need we all have. I love being able to figure out housing for people. I'm very passionate these days about housing affordability. We might talk about
Yeah.
that a little bit down the road. Uh, so that's just always kept me going and figuring out operations and how intrinsic it is to property success. And without success, you're not going to be able to provide the affordable housing that's so desperately in need. So to me,
I
it's
see.
just a big piece of the puzzle. And I enjoy working in operations, which is something that not a lot of people like. It's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. So you've seen the industry go through so many cycles and changes. What surprises you most about how multifamily has evolved?
What surprises me most, and multifamily, let me be very frank with you, is very slow to adapt to change.
Yeah.
So the last few years, um, after COVID or the technology thing has been something that, throughout my career, I've been very entrenched in. I remember rolling out computers to my site teams and taking a year to even unpack their computers. They were very
Yeah.
resistant to the technology,
Hmm.
and that hasn't changed. But the impacts of technology on our industry, our resident cycle, the way we process a resident application, all of that technology has been brought in and it's improved those processes, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned at the beginning you've been in the space for a long time, so you have seen everything. So how hard is fit the name from the traditional way you were guys working and the tech, and also how it changed the client satisfaction? How hard did your clients find adapting besides your teammates, besides the guys you were working with, but also the clients, because there are a lot of, as I also saw with my partners, with also other guests I talked to, they are having problems with those clients who are late 60s, I can say, or more than that. And they are facing this kind of issues, especially with the AI lately. What
Mhm.
can you say about that?
Well, to the customer side of things, I mean, obviously, they've driven a lot of the technology.
Yeah.
They demand it, they get it. It has helped that resident cycle tremendously. From my client's perspective, I feel like they're farther ahead of us in their expectations when it comes to technology. The biggest struggle
Nice.
for those of us in the field, irregardless of our age, has to me is I would call it like tech stack problems. We get
Okay.
sold all of these different types of technology and don't really understand what that requires or how that's going to work together. I mean, I'll go to a site to do work and they have 34 different dashboards open to try
Yeah.
to manage all of these wonderful tools that they've got, but nobody gave the thought to how they're going to work together. And then secondly, nobody's really been there to thoroughly train the teams on the change and how to properly utilize. Typically it's rolled out, you get a 10-minute little orientation, and now you're supposed to understand and be able to utilize to its full capabilities, this new piece of software. And so that's continues to be a struggle that I see. We're adapting new technology, but we're still not really understanding how it's going to work and how we can best use it.
Yeah, I fully agree with you there because me as personally, as I work with tech, I've seen like a lot of companies who like we're just building the software and instead of like doing the like tutorials, live training, they will just like record a 10 minutes demo and will send it to you and it's up to you.
Right.
And yeah, it can be hard for most people just like to learn the software, to manage all the features, all the kind of stuff with just a video. So I fully agree on that part. So also, I know, Daniel, like, you've worn like a lot of hats in your career, from the site manager to a founder, and also, as I know, you're now like a mentor. Was there a turning point or experience that really shaped your approach to the business?
Well, there's obviously doing this for 45 years. There's been several touch points that have really impacted, but I'm going to refer back to when I started the business in 2008
Yeah, sure.
during a recessionary time in a very weak real estate market. Um, I started Smart Apartment Solutions, the company that my daughter purchased from me in 2022. And that was that took me from site operations. I'd always been very entrenched in the day-to-day operations from a cleaning person up to a vice president of a management company. But that was when I made the decision that I was really beginning to feel pretty ineffective in the operational side of things. I just couldn't
Yeah,
go again and seem to be able to make the types of differences that I was accustomed to. So my number one hope in forming Smart Apartment Solutions was that I could deliver a product line that thought like a property manager thought. So many times I would go to work with third party industry partners, and a lot of their a lot of the companies, the products just worked in a traditional way, which is not always the way
yeah,
the resident cycle works, or we do a tremendous a part of our work in the summer months when we can do capital improvements, or the first through the 10th we're very entrenched in rent collections and processes. So their business models just didn't always fit with the way a property manager. So I was very sensitive when we rolled out our product lines, our temporary staffing being one of them, that it worked in the way that our
yeah,
customers needed them to work. We couldn't just put someone there that had no industry knowledge, and we one of our goals, and we've had testimonials to this, when one of our people walk on site to help, they're there because number one, you're short staffed anyway, but they're within
yeah,
10 minutes of walking on the site, they're ready to do business. And that's very unusual in the temporary staffing space. So all of those products that we rolled out had that type of a feel, and people would talk about that. They're like, your stuff feels
yeah.
different. And that was intentional. So that was one of the big turning points when I went from operations to more of a, I mean, I crossed from a supplier side to from a provider side to a supplier side.
Fascinating. So when you think about now, let's talk about a bit more about your business. So when you're thinking about adding services or changing a direction overall on your day-to-day work, how do you test if this is the right move for your clients and also the business?
Well, that's a great question. But first of all, I'm going to vet this with a few customers before we even roll out. I need to
Okay.
hear how they respond to this. I may have an idea that, is not the way things have changed since I've been on site
Yeah.
20 years ago, right? Um, so really getting down deep by surveying them, talking with them. We would do a meeting. We called it a think tank, where we would bring in key clients and feed them a meal, but actually have them look at the development of a product and say how they would use that, what they liked, what they didn't
Nice.
like, the delivery. So again, property managers think a little bit different. So really understanding that process and who is the decision maker on that. That was a challenge in opening a business too. With our product line being so varied, we have several different levels of decision makers. Our staffing product, for example, that could be decided by an on-site person to go ahead but our marketing analysis, our training, those are going to be higher level decisions that our a whole different clientele for us to market those services to.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
figuring all that out. It's really understanding your client and your product.
Nice. I love the path. The experience, your experience has done more all the work I can say. And as you mentioned, like now you are working alongside your daughter Megan,
Yeah.
and yeah, and you have like passed the torch to her. What's
Yeah.
the transition been like, both professionally and also personally?
I'm gonna say, and I had an opportunity to talk about this a couple of weeks ago. From me coming from the aspect of people thinking I'm retired, it looks a lot different than I think I thought it would look. I don't have all this free time that I thought I would, and that's by choice, and that's okay. But I have been fortunate that I work alongside my daughter because I've seen her take the business in a different direction. We're phasing
Yeah,
out a little bit of one of our business lines and more into our marketing analysis and our leasing services, which is great. So she's leading it in a different direction. And I'm so happy to be able to be a part of that,
nice.
and watch her make the change. So I feel proud as a mother, but I also feel very comfortable where she's going, and I need to feel, because she's in control of my retirement because
Yeah.
her buyout of the business is where my retirement
Hmm.
monies are coming from. So I feel very comfortable that she's got it, and it's different than it was 3 years ago when she bought it, and that's okay. I support that. I understand our business is always evolving, and she's leading a lot of that change.
Yeah, nice. It's like it's absolutely great to have like I can say a much understanding and supporting parent as yourself, because working with a parent in the business can be hard sometimes, because there are a lot of times when, like, let's say the parent doesn't like see the age difference, the trends, the new things that are coming, and that can be like a huge step back when you want to evolve and evolve. And
Mhm.
you doing like all of this kind of transition, it's like great, and happy to hear that.
Yep.
So how familiar are you with with the AI and this new kind of stuff, and how much you're like integrating in your day-to-day work? How much is like helping you do your things faster, scale faster, find new clients, or either keep or satisfy the current ones?
And I rely on Megan a lot for that. I mean, I have used AI to help me write
Mm-hmm.
proposals to a point. I'm still very
Yeah.
old school. I still want the authenticity of
Mm-hmm.
but I might get to use AI to spur some ideas. I will say this was a few years ago. This was pretty cutting edge for me, as we automated a lot of our systems. That may not be AI, but that's the beginning of it. But what I
Absolutely.
found interesting was, to get to that automated process, I had to be very old school. And we had to go
Yep.
back to doing a workflow and really understanding the processes and the systems that supported that. Because without having good operating processes and policies, we couldn't go and automate all of the steps. We took our registration process as a temporary staffer, which was like 54 touch points, and brought it down to like 10 touch points for them to apply,
Nice.
because we were getting a lot of people dropping off in that process. I mean, nobody's going to
Yep.
spend the kind of time that used to take to apply for a job. They, a minute and they're done. They should, So that was a good marriage for me, of the old school of breaking the processes down and really understanding who's touching what. And once we were able to do that, we were able to we hired a company, and we did we're still using it today, a very good automation to those processes. We've done that with our mystery shops now. We've done that with our temporary staffing solutions. So while that may not address as cutting edge as the AI piece is, and it's coming at us
Yep.
all the time, but
Yeah.
it still comes down to identifying your good operating processes before you can really lean into and then really polish things up with that.
Yeah, I fully agree. I love how you guys are like combining your strengths and bringing the best of the value. So, as in every I can say in every industry is like this. I can say this challenge or this issue where there is a lot of competition. And how are you like managing to like spread out the word of your company so people like can at least see you? Because you can be like the best service seller out there, but if you don't have like the best strategy to spread the word, it's like opening a restaurant in the desert. So how
Right.
you're like managing this part?
Oh, that's a great question. Something that we talk about every day. And as our business has evolved, we've had to change that. Obviously, in the service side of our business, referrals are very important, but you've got to get in front of them. I will tell, and I'm working on a class right now called Leading Your Brand, which is very organic type of marketing ideas. One of this sounds silly, but probably one of the most effective things that we have done as a company for advertising is the use of uniforms. When we go
Okay.
to a business meeting or a conference, our team dresses alike, and that seems kind of weird, maybe a little unnatural. We
No,
have
it's not.
spurred more conversations about why we're dressed that way. That gives us the opportunity to talk about our company. And before we go to conferences, I'll get emails about what are you guys wearing. I'm real excited to see how you guys all dress alike.
Yeah.
But we haven't had big marketing dollars or advertising budgets to spread the word, although we're known regionally or even nationally for some of our products. Megan's training for sure. She's known nationally, but we've had to do very organic things. The
Hmm.
way we answer our phone, the voicemail that we use was very unique. We've had investors have their staffs call us and say, listen to their voicemail. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Everything is a marketing opportunity, and you need to brand
Yeah.
it and make it unique and memorable. So we've got a very different approach to how we have marketed that business.
Nice. What about like the social presence, like let's say like the website? How are you guys like managing, I can say, the website, the presence there?
And again, Megan could talk way more in the weeds about this. We
Okay.
hired a third party company way back, and we have a landing page for our newest product. Um, I'm going to tell you a story that's kind of related about
Yes, please.
my social pro. So back when I was still in the driver's seat and controlling the money of the business, my daughter came to me at one point and she goes, "Mom, I want some money to try this new marketing thing. I want to hire a Giphy artist, a GIF artist." And I'm like, "What?
Okay.
What?" And she's explaining it to me, and in my typical baby boomer, I'm like, I don't know." I said, so I'm a high D personality. So I cut to the chase. "How much money do you need?" She goes,
Yeah.
"Well, $20." I go, "No, I have that in my purse. Here's $20.
Yeah.
Go do your thing." And do you know, to this day, I think that was 2019, we have over 55 million views of her
Nice.
Giphy, of the
That
gift.
that cost $20.
Yeah, that was
That
$20.
started from a $20.
And so
Yeah.
while I can't tell you I'm the smartest person, I believe that you need a presence on social media, and I've done
Yeah.
work for others, helping them with their brand and
Hmm.
responding to reviews is kind of where I found my niche in that. But I'm smart enough to know I need to rely on people who do understand that. I do know it's
Nice.
necessary. I know that it's
Yeah.
effective. So turn that over. Like I said, my involvement in the social side has been more in handling reviews and how to posture yourself on handling complaints and making sure that you're addressing things. I mean, way back when I did my first class on responding to reviews, and I still believe this. If you don't respond
Yeah.
to a review, it's like the conversation is happening. Your only decision is whether or not you're going to respond to it.
Absolutely.
Be a party
Absolutely.
up to the conversation about your brand.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree on that. So, besides like the challenges we all like face in the market, what are like some challenges that you would like to solve, either in your business, either on the way you guys like manage the clients, or either way like how you're getting leads and so on, that can like help you scale faster or make more money in the business. Something they would like to solve it, let's say, with a magic wand immediately, and that you would know 100% that fix will like skyrocket your business.
Well, And that hasn't changed a lot over the years. Maybe our approach to it has changed, but still getting in front of
Yeah,
the right person is always a challenge, as I
yeah,
spoke of earlier with our varied product line. Um, so better, faster. I mean, email is still king in a lot of regards. But you may not think so, but if you really need to get it, so but tweaking our email blasts so that they are still relevant. Megan uses a video product for her email that has become very effective for us. So making sure that we incorporate some new things, but it still does come back down to basics. And for us, it's about building those personal relationships. Our lease up product, where we're coming in and doing new construction lease ups or repositions, that's all about that client knowing who you are and
yeah,
seeing what you've done, because these investors have money to spend, but they're savvy. They're not going to waste their money on
yeah,
some
yeah.
new gimmick. They need somebody that can produce. So all of our marketing materials talk about the successes and how many leases we're getting a week and how much traffic and how we're, so it's still very basic, but
Mm-hmm.
you can tweak and use modern ways to deliver that message. So I mean, we've got owners portals and things like that on our web. The clients still want those conversations with us. So the way we have our availability for those meetings has changed. We now say, go to our Calendly, pick a time, we'll have that meeting. Um, so it is different, but it's really not. I hope that you don't think
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
non-answer, but it still does come down to some very basic things.
Yeah, but because besides like getting new clients, like always the mission is like to keep the current ones satisfied. Because there are a lot of companies who are just focused on getting new ones and always losing the old ones.
Right.
So you
And
like getting better for
And that has been a struggle for us. And I've always said a good client, there's rich veins to tap. Unfortunately or fortunately, we will sell a client a service and then we get pigeonholed. They don't
Yep.
realize, and that was usually the case with staffing. We were really being viewed as just a staffing company, where our real talent lied in leasing services. So
Yeah.
making sure that that messaging is always consistent, and who is your real sweet spot of a client, understanding that and then tailoring those marketing plans for that, which is what we do for our
Absolutely.
clients. So we need
Yeah.
to put those practices in place for our own business.
Nice. So, as like the new year is coming and the end of this year is like I can say it's till an end. Is there like a new market or new services you are especially excited about exploring in the coming on the upcoming year?
A new product or service I'm especially, I mean, I see
Or
so
maybe
many.
what are just like some plans for the new? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Let me answer in this regard. A couple of things, some passion projects that I'm big on. I'm
Yeah.
developing some speaking programs on, um, and I've been talking this one forever. Building your bench. When times are tough,
Okay.
it's even more important that you're hiring right, hiring smart, hiring people who are passionate. I hear from clients
Yeah.
well, this person doesn't have this, not from the industry. I don't care. I can teach them the mechanics of the job. What I can't teach them is the passion for doing the job that we want them to do. So building your bench, even when times are tough, that's number one. I have a real passion, and I've been serving on the National Apartment Association Affordable Housing Committee and the Independent Rental Owners Committee. I'm very passionate about housing affordability and the impact that the independent rental owners have on our ability to impact housing affordability. I don't know if you realize it, but about 70% of the rental market portfolio is owned by small mom and pop operators. And
Okay.
unfortunately, we don't always recognize, we look at the big companies that own thousands and thousands of units, but in in reality, it's the mom and pops that can align themselves more with the affordable needs. We can pivot on rents more quickly. We can work with programs more quickly. We're more open to maybe accepting vouchers, where in most markets that source of income is a protected thing, and we can't. That's something we have to work with anyway. But here's the last thing I'll say about our ability to impact affordability is your legislators that are writing the laws, that are backing the financing, because it really comes down to making the money available to building more affordable product, is the
Yep.
legislators that are authoring those laws are listening to the independent rental owners. That's their constituents. They don't want to hear from the faceless big corporations that own the other 30% of the rental housing market. They want to hear from the moms and pops and hear their success stories and their pain points. And so
Yeah.
that's where we're going to have the biggest impact on legislation. And so that's something I've been real passionate about and been speaking a lot to people about, this affordability crisis, because it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yep. Yep. Again. So, what habits and mindset help you go through all this crisis? I can say
Mhm.
for all these years.
And one of my uh, people that I mentored and worked with me for a number of years
Yeah.
answered that question for me one time, and it surprised me so that this is what he recognized as one of my greatest strengths. That was such a compliment, but I was so unexpecting it. And it's like, your ability to pivot is your number one strength. I will
Yeah. I
come at
agree.
something and I will give it 100%, but I can quickly move to plan B if I felt that plan A has been properly vetted and we've given it the chance that it's needed. The second thing that has probably enabled me to get through the highs and lows of the real estate industry with its um ups and downs is, and I spoke
Yeah.
of this earlier, is identifying talent and building your bench, so that when
Absolutely.
that crisis hits, you already have that bench strength to be able to spread people, reassign people, and be able to work your way through whatever crisis you're facing. So, and I mean, I've lived through COVID and 9/11. I was in a military town when 9/11 hit. You want to talk about having fully occupied properties one day, and after 9/11 having 60% of your tenant base move away because they were military. And we were able to do as good as could be expected because we were smaller operators, and I
Yeah.
had been in charge with setting rent, being able to quickly lower the rents, where my competitors, they were stuck for a while. They couldn't respond to what was going on in that marketplace. So we were able to come out of that, but I would say that was our ability to pivot quickly when
Yeah.
that crisis came up. So hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Like most more than that. So, Dawn, this has been like a fantastic conversation. Where can the listeners connect with you or learn more about your business if they would be interested to?
Go to our website, www.smartapartmentsolutions.com. There's also a link to our property management company, Smart Moves, right from the Smart Apartment Solutions website. I can be reached through my social. I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, or you can email me at dawn@smartapartmentsolutions.com.
Great, absolutely. So, I really appreciate your time. It was fun, super insightful, and inspirational. So, for everyone who is watching, keep thriving, keep growing, and I will see you on the next video.